Before I mentioned that Mom had a quick mix that she makes that's a substitute for Bisquick or Jiffy Mix or whatever. Uh, she has a 4-H book from her first year in 4-H cooking, and it actually has the quick mix recipe in it. And if I can find it, I think her and I are going to make up a batch. The reason why I was wanting to make the quick mix is Mom has this calzone maker, never before used, and she actually has a Betty Crocker Bisquick cookbook, and I went through it and looked at recipes for calzones and pizza. It's basically the same thing, you just use the Bisquick for the dough. But she's almost out of Bisquick, so we were going to make up a batch. When I was growing up, I very rarely remember actually having Bisquick, maybe if we went camping, but at home we always had quick mix that Mom made. That old saying about salt, I just tried to pick this up and couldn't hold it. So look at that, a pound of salt, and I couldn't even... Correction, it's a kilo of salt, not just a pound. This is the recipe. Found the book. Get ready to make your quick mix. Got the sifter. I don't have the big spoon. Guess I need to grab that. I have the large bowl. I have the small bowl. I have the measuring cups. I have the measuring spoons. Spatula, straight edge knife. Mom just handed me a spoon. A pastry blender. Played with that the other day. Rubber scraper I will get. I have the container for it right here. And I need to get the scraper. I've got flour. I've got the double acting yeast. I do not have the sugar. I'll have to get that. I do have the salt that I dropped. And 2 cups of hydrogenated shortening. And the reason why they use that is because the hydrogenated shortening doesn't spoil. It's got a shelf life, whereas butter or lard doesn't have as long of a shelf life. Let me get the sugar, and we'll start measuring flour and sifting.
And here's the shortening.
Something else that the 4-H cookbook, this is was a beginner class, she said. You had to be 10 to take it. It said to have toothpicks to count your measurement, and this uses 9 cups of, pardon me, uses 9 cups of flour, and so it'll definitely be easier to count them instead of losing track. I'm going to start measuring these in, get it sifted. I'll be putting it in this bowl. Need to sift the... I think I need to sift it, then measure it, and then sift it again and again and again and again. But I'll get that started. Maybe I'll just speed up the video and you can watch along, or I don't know. Whatever the case, we'll get there. Can't believe I dropped that salt. Kilo, not even totally full. Because this is measured after it's sifted, I'm just going to put some in the sifter. Mom's telling me that after it's sifted, I need to measure it very lightly into the spoon with the cup. She's getting me out a spoon. I thought that's what this other spoon was for, but she says it's a different spoon, so that spoon's going away. This has measurement on the side of the sifter. It says I'm at about 5 cups roughly now. gonna empty this container. This was actually one that Mom had sugar in, and we added flour to the pantry and didn't have enough space, so it got put in there. Okay, I actually measured the sugar. It's in the cup in this large bowl that I'm putting over here to the side. I'll be using this other one to sift the flour into, and then I'll measure it into there with the sugar. I actually was reading a thing yesterday. I was looking for a recipe, and I found a website, Zero Waste Chef. And they were talking about doing their kitchen plastic free, which to me was an interesting thing. I've got my nose going. I'll be right on back. About the Zero Waste Chef, the plastic free. I mean, how many times do you go into your kitchen and grab something plastic? You don't even think about it, because that's what commerce says you should use, because hey, plastic. Well, I actually own that should be about right once it's sifted. This is about the 4-cup mark. I actually own metal measuring cups, metal measuring spoons for dry measure. I don't have glass or metal for, actually I do have a metal liquid measure. It was one that was my grandmother's. She gave me. It's aluminum, and it's been around for a millennia or two. It's definitely seen better days. It won't measure anymore past about a half cup, but it's very similar to Mom's liquid measure cup in terms of the style of it and the measurement. It's the metal's formed to do that. I'm dumping the sugar into the bowl. Don't need that cup anymore. I'm going to measure the, if I can remember what I did with it, I've got the baking powder here. I need to get the recipe to know how much I need. And it looks like I need 3 tablespoons of the fast-acting, double-acting. I'm setting this in the sink because it's just convenient. And speaking of the double-acting baking powder, we found Mom had an empty for this. This one's paper with the foil for the inside. The one we found is actually metal, and we were like, wow, this has got to be really old. Well, it's not that old. It's got a web address on it, so what, 20, 30 years maximum. Okay, now we need salt, tablespoon of salt, and you know what? I messed up and put in a half cup of sugar where it only calls for a quarter, so I'm going to have to take some out. If I can get it out. See what I get for not having the recipe in front of me? I got the cup of, or the quarter cup of sugar out. Now I'm going to measure the sifted flour, and this is something you do very lightly. You don't want the flour to get compacted now that you've sifted it. There's the first cup. I'm going to set out a toothpick to keep my count. I just added the 9th cup, and because it's been sifted, the flour is actually quite a bit left over. I'm going to just put this back into the container. Something to keep in mind when you are doing a recipe, watch what it says with the flour, because it can say a certain number of cups sifted or a certain number measured and then sifted. Thank you, Mom. I got all the ingredients. I've got the flour, the baking powder, the sugar, and the salt all mixed here. Now that needs to be sifted again 3 times, and then we'll cut in the shortening. Put my plate in the sink. I'm going to get another one.
The best thing is always read your recipe all the way through first.
Yes, always read your recipe all the way through first. I did read the recipe all the way through first, but
But then you have all your ingredients ready like that.
then you have all your ingredients ready like that. Yeah, that's true. You ever watch a cooking show and they have them measured out in bowls? That's because it just makes it easier when you're doing a recipe. I'm going to get this sifted the other 3 times. I'll transfer it from one bowl to the other, and then I'll transfer it back, and then, you know, do the whole sifted ingredients thing.
Yeah, you don't have to measure it again.
But yeah, because the ingredients are already measured.
You don't have to measure again.
I don't have to measure them again, and it's also got the other ingredients: the salt, the sugar, the baking powder. Part of the reason that this is being sifted 3 times is to mix all the dry ingredients together. Because the salt, the sugar, and the baking powder need to be thoroughly incorporated through the flour. So that's part of why we're doing it. The rest is just to keep it light and fluffy. Back to the zero waste kitchen and the plastic free home. I've actually been somewhat that way myself. I've always asked that question: what did people do before plastic wrap and Ziploc bags, etc.? And
Wax paper.
Mom says wax paper.
Oil.
Something that they mentioned on that zero waste chef was that they used waxed fabric. They used, and there was a link to another site.
For the instructions.
That told how to do it. Uses organic cotton and beeswax. It was an interesting thing. It says cut multiple sizes, use them to cover things in your kitchen. And it actually said another thing, and Mom does this all the time: put a plate over a bowl. I just got out the enamel bear bowl. See, bears. Mom does this all the time. She just puts the bowl over the plate over the bowl to keep it. I'm going to scrape out the dry ingredients from this large bowl, because there were some in there that weren't very well mixed. And so I'm going to try to get them out and into the sifter. And it looks like it's the baking powder and flour that's not coming out very well. Oh. That was probably close to a tablespoon together of the ingredients. Just from scraping the inside of this large stainless bread bowl. Just, I don't know, kind of a reminiscence, I guess. I remember as a kid counting toothpicks and watching Mom make this. And this little 4-H cookbook has the same basic recipes as Bisquick has. 2/3 cup milk to 2 cups.
No. What are you doing, pancakes?
An idea. Roughly the same recipes and ratios as Bisquick uses using this mix. So it's just a substitute for a name brand product. And
Homemade frugal.
I'm all for not opening a box to get what I'm looking for. I would much rather spend 20 or 30 minutes making this up than to go, oh no, I've got to run to the store and get some Bisquick because I don't have any. And I need to make pancakes or biscuits or whatever the case may be. There's a white cloud, but I don't know if you can see it. There's still larger particles in the sifter even after it's been sifted. And I will get those. Mom's saying to take a spoon and kind of work them through the screen. But there is a reason to keep sifting this, and that's part of it, is to keep everything light and small, consistent. Back to the, I have always hated recipe books that says, open a package of, add this, and it's basically just a variation of the recipe that's already on the package. It's always kind of annoyed me that they want people to buy their product so much that they're taking away the products that, or the ability to make the product, because somebody says, well, why do I need a macaroni and cheese recipe when I can just go to the store and buy a package? Have you looked at the price of macaroni and cheese lately? It's not cheap. Okay, I'm going to transfer this back to the small bowl so that I end up in the large bowl. That's going to get
just
even the...
put in extra time.
You know what, that's... Yeah, Mom has a good idea. We're just going to sift it 4 times instead of...
You're still going to use the same amount of ingredients.
So, she's just making this take longer. But, yeah, it's always kind of bothered me that you can't find the old-fashioned recipes. And actually, one of the things that I asked for, well, it was the only thing I asked for that they actually said I could have, provided, there's always a provided. My grandma, beautiful artist. I asked for a painting, couldn't have that. A particular painting, it was in the little cabin in the snow. I like the snow and the idea of a little cabin. But That didn't fly. A few other things went, and finally, Mom says, well, what do you want? And I said, well, how about our recipe book? And the reason I did that was because Grandma was a great cook, and Grandma did a lot of things from scratch. I got to show this 4-H. I love this picture. Here's this, get ready to make your quick mix, and it shows the little girl in front of this oven, salt, sugar, quick mix, enriched flour. There are a few things missing from that. Salt. No, salt was there. Baking soda. There are a few, like I said, a few things that you'd want for staples in your kitchen. But I would much rather start from those basic staples than a package, a box.
Yeah, but that's partly because you grew up that way.
Yes, I mean, no, it's partly because I grew up that way. It also has to do with the fact that I don't like supporting a big company just because they say I should.
Yeah, that's the rebel.
And I don't like advertising. Sorry, anybody out there that watches commercials. It's not my thing. I understand it. I actually do pay attention to advertising. However, when I pay attention to advertising, it's usually when it's an advertised price, like in the store ads that come out once a week. Rather than just saying, I need to go to the store and pick this up, I look at the ads and, oh, it's on sale. I use it, so I'm going to go and I'm going to get it. It's got a shelf life of X, and that'll last, so much of it will last me so long. If I can do that. I try to do that. But I also don't like products thinking that just because they make something that I should have to buy it. And I don't like them taking away the ability of people to make products because they can't get a recipe to make the product. All these time-saving devices that are in the world today and in most people's lifestyles really aren't time-saving. How many times does your phone really actually save you time? Your mobile phone. How many times does the fact that you have a car save you time? Be based on your normal everyday activities. Oh, well, yeah, it saves you time when you have to run to the store to have a car. Because you forgot something the last time you ran to the car because somebody called you on your phone while you were at the store, and so you didn't get the thing that you went to the store for in the first place.
Because you have to take time to make a list, not just depend on your phone.
However, you know, when people lived a day's travel from the store, or a half day's travel from the store, they couldn't just run to the store. Oh, the batteries just died on the phone, or on the camera. So I had to run and get my other set of rechargeables. I'm going to plug these in right here in Mom's kitchen to recharge. I don't know where it cut off on the previous, but yeah, the whole idea of the time-saving devices saving time, I don't see it much, particularly, and this is a complaint here, particularly when you have a so-called smartphone that thinks it's smarter than you are, or that they say is smarter than you are, that has Facebook on it, one of the biggest time wasters there is, and it has Facebook on there and cannot be taken off. I actually got a smartphone recently, so that I could upload videos if need be from my laptop when I didn't have internet service. The thing that I don't like about the so-called smartphone is it's not really a phone. It's a tablet that has a radio in it that is on the cellular phone frequency, so you can do a phone call using the tablet. They actually have an app now that will work on your phone, on your part of the new creative something update for Windows 10 that makes it so that you can, if your laptop is capable, it can work as a phone. I'm sorry. Leave a computer and a phone. And if you need to connect them with Wi-Fi or with a cable. And they should all have that ability. If you're your own data, they all should have a way to connect. Mom's handing me stuff here. I was going to show the fact that this is kind of a messy project, but there, it's a happy project. I'm going to clean up before I start cutting in the Crisco. This is actually some butter flavored Crisco that's in cubes, similar to butter. And I'm going to clean up first before I cut that in, and we'll get back. Just giving me a lesson on shortening. And she took away what she was going to give me a minute ago, so let her tell that while I go get what she was.
Well, when you use the white shortening, just the regular shortening, you can use it in any recipe. But the butter flavored, you can't, because you get too much of a butter flavor when you use it in some recipes. So you just have to have some of each on hand. Are you ready to make another batch, James?
I've got my phone. I have an. There's good and bad to this cubes of shortening. One, it's pre-measured, so what's there is there. They don't want to lose money, so they're not going to measure it in your benefit, and their weights and measures and government control, they have to have at least the basic amount, so they're going to have as close as possible to the amount listed as what they say. I actually don't mind measuring it. It's less messy, and anybody that's watched this knows about me and my hands. Mom's actually talking about making another batch that isn't using the butter flavor. But for now, I'm going to do this. But first, I got to wash my hands. Here I am talking about a plastic-free kitchen. I'm using a plastic scraper to do this. Even a rubber scraper probably isn't really rubber. It's probably plastic. Either case, is it rubber natural or is it rubber made out of petroleum products? Which I have issues with anyway, and I try to stay away from petroleum products just because I have allergies and I get wonderful rashes when I touch stuff that's made out of it. I itch. But this is the next stage, is cutting the shortening into the recipe, and this actually takes some time. And so I'm going to turn off the camera. I think, and let that go, because who really wants to listen to me talk for forever? I'm going to get this cut in. So it's small pieces incorporated with the dry. Mom's saying pea size. It'll actually form little balls.
It'll be actually smaller than that.
But when it gets to that point, I'll show you. I'm going to turn it off. It's amazing with my heart. When I do stuff with my left hand, I have issues. I feel the stents, and it's quite painful. Mom's actually in the bowl now doing this. She's partially sighted. She has blind spots, so I'll probably have to help her. But her left hand holding the bowl, me doing that was what was bothering me. So Mom's taken over to help me out.
This is going in very nicely.
But still, it's going to take a bit. So we'll get back to that. I just put the salt, the sea salt that I dropped into some jars. Just a note. It says right on the package, sea salt does not contain iodine, which is a necessary nutrient. Not so sure of that myself, because the Japanese people have been using seaweed to treat goiters for probably millennia, and I believe it's because of the iodine that was in the seaweed. However, we'll leave that alone. Can't verify it, but in terms of iodized salt, if you're planning to store it long term, iodized salt needs to be in something that is airtight. You have to be careful, because it can evaporate. The iodine that is usually sprayed on as a liquid, and it can evaporate over time off the salt. You can research iodized salt and find out all kinds of things about it. It's different than the topical iodine that you put on your body for antiseptic, but it's still, if you're going to be storing iodized salt, put it in something that's airtight, because if you buy, say for example, a big 25-pound bag, the bag is probably paper, and you need it in something that's airtight. I prefer glass or metal. Finding anything glass or metal in this day and age is almost impossible. It used to be that you could find large metal tins at thrift stores, etc. Sometimes you could buy them to hold your flour, Mom says.
My mother had one that was a big blue one that came to my hip that carried flour.
Mom's saying that my grandmother had a large blue one that came to her hip that held flour. When I was growing up, my dad was in the dairy business, and my mom actually bought stainless steel milk cans. Oh, I gotta quit holding the bowl. Stainless steel milk cans to hold the flour and sugar in. But you could also get those for salt if you had so much salt that you needed to store it. Mom actually did buy a 25-pound bag of salt, iodized salt. She has one, and hers is actually in a plastic because that's what's available. I'm going to let her get back to this because I just hurt myself trying to hold that. This is almost done. We're just
it's good.
Getting it cut up as fine as possible. It says that it wants to look like coarse cornmeal, or that's what Mom says.
But no more than a green pea size shortening ball.
So you want to get the shortening and the dry ingredients mixed well and incorporated so that you have a smooth mix. And it's pretty well there.
This brings back memories.
While Mom's reminiscing, I'm going to wash my hands again. I got more Crisco on them again.
I still make quick mix to use in my kitchen. But mostly it was fun with cooking with my kids. Actually with my kid, because his older brother and sister didn't want to cook, but he always did. Oh. It's looking right. It's ready.
It's ready, and Mom actually has this old jar here. It's not old. It's just a Vlasic pickle of Vlasic farm, and it actually has written on it "Quick Mix." That's my handwriting. I don't know how long this has been around.
Long time.
Decade or so. This is actually was sliced banana peppers. Mom's bringing over the measuring cups. She's going to use one to do this. I'm actually cleaning the shortening off the pastry cutter and going to try to cut in what I just cut off if Mom doesn't lose it for me. What I just wiped off. She's trying to mix it with the, but I just wanted to clean off the extra that was on the pastry cutter. These are a wonderful tool, definitely worth having if you can find one. I would prefer it to have a metal handle.
Oh, you can get that.
But this one and the one I have, which was my grandmother's, are wood. Mom said you can get them that are metal.
Yeah, but they have the wire.
But they're wire, not the blades, the actual metal. Well, this is about done. We're going to get it into this jar, and hopefully it'll all fit. Otherwise, we got to find another container. I don't really want to mix it in with what's already here is actually Bisquick from the store. Mom,
no, it is not.
Yes, it is. Mom found some at a reduced price that was close to date, and so she bought it. And so it's actually the Bisquick brand. Normally, she always makes her own. One other scoop in here. But we're going to have to find something else. There's a few more cups. This recipe says it makes 13 cups. And Mom's going to try to get, you're not going to get it all in, half maybe. But we'll get something else to do it. And maybe we'll do some of the other recipes from that 4-H cookbook that she has for about half of that. A little more. And make something out of this. Maybe some cookies or biscuits, or I don't know. I like the biscuits myself, but that's just me. I like biscuits. Thanks for watching Perhaps Cooking. Feel free to share, give me a thumbs up, or subscribe.